Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
Officially the first day of spring. So, unlike some years, Alabama actually waited until spring to kick off spring drills. The Crimson Tide hitting the practice field this afternoon in shorts and helmets for the first time since the season ended with that national championship game loss against Clemson down in Tampa on January the 9th. Now, Alabama will be allowed to practice 15 times. One of those practices will be the 8A game on April 22nd. Now, Alabama is beginning its path to what it hopes will be a 17th national championship after they came up just a little bit short this past season. As I mentioned, that heartbreaking loss with 1 second left on the clock when Clemson scored the game winner down in Tampa. And with that, we say good evening, everybody, and welcome in to Tider Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock, alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm Gary Harris, and tonight we've got this good old-fashioned Pepsi. You know, they got a lot of great products. I've drank most of them, Diet Pepsi, Pepsi Max, many others, but sometimes just a good old-fashioned Pepsi. Especially when it's ice cold like that. Remember to pick up some great Pepsi products from Buffalo Rock the next time you're at your local grocery store. Okay, Rodney, as we said, unfortunately, the 2016 season ended on a cool night in Tampa with Alabama on the wrong end of a heartbreaking loss. Now, the 2017 season, at least for spring, begins on a summer-like afternoon here in Tuscaloosa, but our first chance to see some new coaches, the early enrollees, and process Nick Saban's process in full effect. After practice, head coach Saban was up with the media, and he got it started in typical Saban fashion. Let's have a listen.
The leadership, the togetherness, the positive energy, people being responsible for their own self-determination so they can go out there and do their job with some kind of consistency in performance is, why we're starting to practice and why we need all these practices in the spring and all the practices in the fall. So we just got to keep working and be patient with the players that we have so that we can get better.
All right, Saban already in midseason form. The process is underway. Rodney, you were out there today for the media viewing period. I know you only got to watch 15 minutes or so, but just some takeaways from that first practice, things that you observed.
Yeah, again, it's typical spring. It's really hard to evaluate too much because really you have 25, 26 guys. All those 16 of them are here now. You still got another 10 or 12 that'll be coming in the fall. So you really don't have all your team, but it's an impressive-looking group, Gary. There's no question about it. I mean, when you look at some of the guys on the defensive line, really impressed with Isaiah Buggs. I thought he was a good-looking specimen out there. I thought Deshaun Hand looked like he was in really good shape. I really am impressed with redshirt freshman defensive lineman Quentin Williams.
Right.
I think he looks good as well. Raekwon Davis, sophomore out of Meridian. This guy's got a world of potential.
He's the kind of guy you want to get off the bus first.
That's exactly right. He looks like he's lost a little weight. Not that he necessarily looked bad to begin with, but he's a little more svelte at 303 pounds and about 6'6". I think he looks really good.
A lot of focus on the quarterbacks, of course, led by Jalen Hurts and then the two true freshmen. You mentioned some other guys, but we saw a clip there with Brian Dable, the new offensive coordinator, his first time on the practice field. And I know, Rodney, there's not a lot you could tell, and there's Mike Loxley, new full-time assistant. But just watching Dayball work for a little bit today, what were your takeaways?
It was really hard to tell much, to be honest with you. I think, obviously, he's taking over a group with a bunch of young quarterbacks. I mean, Jalen Hurts got 15 games worth of experience last year, did an unbelievably fantastic job for a true freshman, no question about that. And now he's got two true freshmen behind him coming in this spring. And in Mac Jones, there you see him number 10, and Tua Tagovailoa number 13. And I'll tell you one thing, though. I did watch the quarterbacks briefly working on some of those deep outs, Gary. All three of them have very strong arms. We know Hurts has a strong arm. We knew about the reputation Tagovailoa had. But I tell you, number 10, Mac Jones can really rip it too.
Yeah, I watched a couple of his throws. He's got a gun, and he's gained already 10 pounds, I understand, since arriving on campus. Well, we mentioned Dable. We also saw Mike Loxley earlier. Now, you lose Kiffin, you lose Cristobal, you lose Sarkeesian after he took over for one game. But let's remember, Loxley, an analyst last year, he's a former offensive coordinator and head coach at the Division I level. You've got Burton Burns. You know, you've got guys that have been around the block. They also lost Billy Napier. But it's not like Dable's by himself. He'll have a lot of guys to help him with his transition, including Loxley.
Yeah, I mean, Loxley was actually here on the staff last year, so he's just actually moving on to the field. He's got a lot of experience as an offensive coordinator. He's been a head coach. So, you know, his experience, his relationship with the players has already been developed. So I really like Mike Loxley as a wide receivers coach, co-offensive coordinator. I think, too, when you look at Brian Dable, he brings a lot of not only great experience, understanding what it is to work in a program like Alabama, being in the New England Patriot, you know, organization for so long, and the demanding organization that it is, just like Alabama. But he brings some maturity. I think a lot of maturity to this coaching staff on the offensive side, and I think he's a welcome addition.
Also, we talked about it last week right here on this program. You put it out on TiderInsider.com at least a couple of weeks ago, but now everybody else reporting that Dan Werner, the former Ole Miss offensive coordinator, has been cleared to join the Alabama staff as an analyst. That's another guy with a ton of experience.
A lot of experience. He's had a lot of success as an offensive coordinator. He was with the Miami Hurricanes, of course, and I thought he did a fantastic job with Ole Miss over the last few years as their offensive coordinator. Again, he's joining as an analyst, Gary, and I think it's I think it's another really good hire.
All right, so spring football is off and running. It'll conclude April 22nd with the A-Day game. Well, still to come on Tider Insider Television, the Alabama men's basketball team ends its season in disappointing fashion. We'll discuss the future of the Crimson Tide program. And while one Alabama basketball team is out of the NIT, another is very much still alive. The latest on the women's basketball team's run in the women's NIT coming up. And also, of course, we'll be getting to your phone calls, emails, and tweets. The phone number is always 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Or you can email us at TITV@WVUA23.com or reach out to us on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide. The award-winning Tider Insider TV will return right after this timeout.
To go somewhere. I like the success our football team has had. All right, I like what, you know, I like their swagger. I like their confidence. I like the expectation of winning when I walk into the football stadium. We're not there yet. We're chasing greatness. All right, we're not just chasing an NCAA tournament berth.
Avery Johnson, head coach of the Alabama men's basketball team, which was eliminated from the NIT by Richmond last week at home in the first round. The Tide finished the season 19-15 overall. But you heard Coach Johnson talking about chasing greatness, talking about having a swagger, talking about following in the footsteps of Alabama football. Now, Rodney, they're a long way from that. Yeah. But they did take steps. You know, they beat South Carolina twice. Yeah. Okay. See what South Carolina is doing in the NCAA tournament. Is this program close to getting back into the NCAA tournament and then making a run?
I think they're real close to getting back into the NCAA tournament. I like what he said. I mean, he didn't mince words. You know, they're not here to just get into the NCAA tournament. They want to eventually become a real championship-type program. And there's no secret about that. That's the goal, and I really don't have a problem with him saying that. I like to hear him say that. And I think with the way he's recruited, Gary, this year, this particular past class, the guys they have coming in with the transfer Daniel Giddens, you know, they're going to certainly be much more competitive, make a run. I think they'll be in the NCAA next year, and they'll continue to build on that.
Well, you mentioned Nick Saban in Alabama football. Saban will tell you it starts with recruiting. AJ understands that as well, Avery Johnson, and they are, as you said, taking the steps with a great recruiting class coming in next year. Well, although the Alabama men did not survive the first round, the women are already into the third round of the women's NIT. The Crimson Tide will host Tulane on Thursday night after winning in round one against Mercer, and then round two on Sunday against Little Rock, both at home. The Tide dominated Mercer in the first round, 81-57. Ashley Williams had a double-double, 19 points and 12 rebounds. And then round two, it was freshman Jordan Lewis who hit the game winner with 5 seconds to go against Little Rock to send Bama to the Sweet 16. The Tide would go on to win that game 55-53.
When you're consistent, good things happen, and we've got to be more consistent, through the SEC schedule. And this is a great opportunity for us to learn how to do that back to back to back. And again, it's obviously teams that, are very good.
As we said, Alabama will take on Tulane Thursday night, 7 o'clock at Coleman Coliseum. Hey, students are back on campus. If you're listening, you're watching, go out and watch this team play. They are really, really an improved basketball team, 21-13 on the season. First 21 season since 1999. They're not done. Thursday night, more basketball at Coleman Coliseum. As the old great wrestling announcer Gordon Soley used to say, be there. All right, also in the postseason is the Alabama Gymnastics team. That's the usual for them. The Crimson Tide finished third at the SEC Championships this past Saturday in Jacksonville, Florida. They found out they'll be the #1 seed at the Morgantown Regional, taking place on April the 1st. The Tide will compete against Michigan, Southern Utah, George Washington, host West Virginia, and Kent State. The top 2 teams from each of the 6 regionals will move on to the NCAA Championships.
Most important thing that this team needs to do is continue to focus on those small details of great handstands, good landings, but more than anything, trust. You have to trust your preparation, you have to trust the woman standing next to you, and you need to do it for someone bigger than yourself. And if those ladies, our ladies, can do that, they're going to have a great deal of success, especially if they go out into the competition and they allow it to just happen naturally, as long as they put the numbers and the practice in.
Good luck to the Tide. Well, coming up, the latest on the Bama baseball team. Don't want to forget about them. They're currently in action at UAB. First road game of the season. But next, your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, the information posted there on your screen. Phone lines are open, so call now, 205-348-9882. Remember, you can tweet at us as well using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with your phone calls after this. Bama baseball 10-10 through its first 20 games, all at home. On the road tonight, over in the Ham, Alabama and UAB. No score. It's early. First inning highlights coming up tonight on the news at 10 o'clock. All right, let's get to the phone lines. First up tonight, Mary right here in Tuscaloosa. Mary, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right.
I have 2 separate questions.
Okay.
Is Najee Harris and Vandarius Cowan going to play this season? And my second question is Dylan Moses and Xavier McKinney also playing this season?
Well, Mary, I definitely think Najee Harris is going to play. Cowan, a good chance to play. Rodney, I would, just based on what I know about them coming out of high school, would expect Moses and McKinney included, all 4 of those guys to play as freshmen. Now, you never know for sure, but that would be my expectation. You?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look at Najee Harris, even though the running back situation is a little bit...
He's going to play.
Yeah, he's going to play, even though they have several running backs, already here that are returning. But, yeah, he's a fantastic prospect, no question about that. Dylan Moses, looking at him on the practice field today, and again, I'm talking physically. I'm not talking about as a football player. I'm just talking physically. You don't draw him up any better looking than that kid.
And remember, a lot of those freshmen play on special teams.
Yep.
So I would think those 4 guys are 4 guys she mentioned that are
I
McKinney.
think Xavier McKinney can really be a player, too, in the secondary. I'm not sure who was a 4th.
Cowan.
Yeah, Vandarius Cowan's an outstanding player. Now, his situation is a little bit different because he's not an early enrollee.
Right.
So, again, these guys kind of get a head jump on everything.
All right. Thank you, Mary. Let's stay here in T-Town and talk with Super Joe. What up, partner?
Hey, something handy when you get off work. That's me.
All right, bro. What you got?
Yep. You want one?
All right, Super Joe, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, partner? How y'all feeling?
All right.
Yeah. Well, hey, what do you think? I know this is a little crazy question, but what do you think we'll ever play the Kansas Jayhawks in basketball or football?
All right, Super Joe. Well, first of all, as far as I know, Kansas is not on the future schedule for basketball or football. Now, obviously, postseason or some type of holiday tournament, basketball teams can meet up. Football, I don't see it happening unless it's in a bowl game. And right now, Kansas is a long way from being at the level that Alabama's at in football. But again, what's going to happen in the future? But as of right now, I don't think either one of those programs are on Alabama's future schedules.
Yeah, I was just thinking as he said that. I don't ever remember Alabama and Kansas playing in football.
I can't either.
I don't ever remember.
Even going back to the Noah and Cromwell days when Kansas was pretty good in the 70s.
Glad they didn't play them then.
Yeah, they were good.
Kansas was actually really good.
All right, let's go to Anniston and talk with Harold. Harold, how are you, my friend?
Hey, doing pretty good, man. Hoping you'll feel better soon,
Thanks,
too,
Harold. I do, too.
Hey, man, I saw, South Carolina beat Duke, man, and Alabama, we beat Duke twice, man. And then I watched the game we played there in the NIT, man, and I was just horrified. Looks like every time we take one step forward, we take 2 steps back. I just want to get your opinion of the game, man, because I really think Alabama should have won that game instead of going out in the first round like we did last year. And it seems to me that coach is doing a great job, but these kids got to want to win, man. You got to motivate themselves. You should never need to be motivated because, hey, playing basketball, man, you should want to win every game.
I agree. Every time you play, that should be the reward for all the work you put in. I think you said it, though, Rodney, and Harold said it, and I'm going to get your take. This team was capable of beating anybody on their schedule. They came close at Oregon. They came close to beating Kentucky. Led Texas by 12 on the road at halftime, even though Texas wasn't great. And then they lost to Auburn twice. They lost to Richmond at home, although Richmond's a good team. I just think it was that kind of team. When they played at their best and made shots, they were capable of beating anybody. When they did struggle offensively, which was often they could be beaten by just about anybody. That was just a very inconsistent team. Yes, it's frustrating because you see the 2 wins over South Carolina and you say that's what they're capable of. Then you see the 2 losses to Auburn and you say that's what they're also capable of.
Well, I really thought, specifically addressing the game you mentioned, Richmond.
Richmond's good.
Yeah. Well, Harold, to be honest with you, I'm not making any excuses. I thought Alabama made a great run in the tournament. They won those first 2 games. Obviously, they beat South Carolina, a Sweet 16 team. So that's a fantastic win. I thought after they lost to Kentucky, because they played Kentucky well until the end, I thought they were going to have a really difficult time getting back up for that Richmond game. I don't know how you felt about it, Gary, but I really thought, I know it's the NIT and all that, and you have an opportunity. I thought it was going to be a tough game for them to get back up for because I felt like they really made a strong run in the tournament. I think they played out in the tournament, to be honest.
I think everybody agrees on this. Next year, the expectation with that recruiting class coming in and what Avery Johnson has coming back, the expectation should be to make it into the NCAA tournament. If we're sitting here next year talking about the NIT, I'm going to be very disappointed. So I think next year the expectation should be to be dancing in March. All right, still to come, a trio of Alabama basketball commitments show off their skills at the Alabama-Mississippi High School All-Star Game. Speaking of recruiting classes, we'll have some highlights. But first, more of your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, the information there on the screen on how you can get in touch with us. Phone lines are open, so go ahead and call in now. We'll be back with more TITV right after this. Love it when we get some tweets, that in a moment. But first, the Alabama-Mississippi High School All-Star Game. Saturday in Montgomery, 3 future Crimson Tide basketball players competed in the event. Galen Smith was on the Mississippi squad. Herb Jones and Alex Reese represented the Alabama team. Jones out of Hale County finished second on the team in scoring. He had 17 points and 8 rebounds. The Mississippi team won a barn burner, 96-91. That was a good one. Again, 3 of that 5-man signing class in action there. Colin Sexton will be in the McDonald's game, and John Petty will be in the Jordan game. So some big all-star games coming nationally for those guys. All right, let's take that tweet, and it's from Don Juan. Who is going to be the center and who is going to be his backup? That's the key to the offense this year. Well, Bradley Bozeman's back as the center, Rodney, so I'm assuming he'll still be the starter there. What about people backing him up?
Well, again, I think that's a great question. J.C. Hassenauer has been one of the backups there, Gary. There have been other guys that have worked at that spot. Ross Pierce-Baker has actually worked at that spot, even though right now he's a starting left guard, started there the last 2 years. There's some other guys. Josh Casher could play at center. He's working at right guard too. So, a lot of those guys are interchangeable. I mean, they have some experience there in terms of mostly practice, but Bradley Bozeman is back. J.C. Hassenauer is a guy that's been around a while.
All right. Thanks for the tweet, Don Juan. You ready to go back to the phone lines?
Sure.
Let's go to Mountain Brook and talk with Charlie. Hey, Charlie, how are you, my friend?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Very well.
Rodney, I've known for years that you had got known for 25 years that you've done recruiting. I just never knew you had a TV show. First time I've run across you guys.
Well, it doesn't need to be the last, Charlie. We're here every week.
It will not.
Good.
I'm a rabid basketball fan, and what I've learned over the years is for either to keep with 10 guys as opposed to 85 guys on the football team. By the way, love my football team. What I'm asking though is the center from Ohio State. Have you got a chance to see him play? and how good might he be?
Yeah, Daniel Giddens, the 6'10", 240-pound transfer, Charlie from Ohio State. It's funny, we had an email about him, too, that we don't have to get to now. Yeah, a lot of people are interested in seeing him because he was so highly recruited coming out of the state of Georgia, out of high school. Signed with Ohio State, quite honestly, didn't put up very many numbers there. But he's still a young guy. I've seen him practice a couple of times in the brief viewing periods that we had. The thing you notice, Rodney, it's like you were talking about some of these young guys on the football field. Haven't really seen enough of them to know where they're at as players, but physically, he definitely passes the eye test. I think he'll help them next year, yeah.
I've heard a lot of really positive things about Daniel Giddens from a few people that are close to it, and, again, we'll have to see, remains to be seen, but I know that they're really excited about what he brings, and he's got fantastic size, as you said, Gary. What is he, 6'10"?
6'10", 240 pounds. And, I mean, he carries it well. He's a good-looking kid. Yeah, I think he's going to be a major help for them, Charlie. I really do. Glad you found us on television. Tune in every week. We're here every Tuesday night at 6:30. All right, thanks for the phone calls, the emails, and the tweets. Still to come, former Alabama wide receiver Amari Cooper fulfills his childhood dream. You want to see this. More on the heartfelt gesture from the Pro Bowler to his mom. That's next on Tider Insider TV, live from Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. Former Alabama wide receiver Amari Cooper, now the Raiders, posted today on Instagram that he gifted his mom with her dream car and house. The Raiders Pro Bowler wrote a note, just know a dream can go a long way if it's followed by faith and hard work. Cooper ended the post by saying, "You deserve it, Mama. I love you." Awesome. What a good guy. Well, our beautiful shirts tonight provided, as always, by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original elephant wear. Go by and see Alex Rush and the staff in person at their beautiful store or shop online at their website, locker-room.biz. Original elephant wear and much more available at the Locker Room. Well, it's the third Tuesday of the month, so that means dinner tonight at Buddy's Rib and Steak just over the bridge in Northport. Come and join us about 7:15. We'll talk some football. Speaking of talking, Rodney, people that have been watching us for the last few weeks know that I'm having major issues with my voice. Nodules on my vocal cords. Took a couple weeks off in February. Hope that would fix the situation. It did not. I'm going to be taking a leave of absence, but don't worry. Brandon Cameraman will be out here with you. Tider Insider TV will continue every Tuesday night at 6:30. For Rodney, I'm Gary. Thanks for watching. Have a good night, everybody.